Step 2 in your course design process is to consider the major assessments of a course. This video is going to orient you to a process of matching assessments with intended learning outcomes, particularly in transitioning your assessments to the online learning environment. So consider the following questions. What online assessment methods will provide evidence that students are achieving the learning outcomes of your course? How will feedback be given to students so that they can develop and work towards that learning outcome? And similarly, what assessment methods might help to inform and improve student progress over time? As you can imagine, assessment plays a pretty key role in defining the experience of online learning for students. So depending on the nature of the assessment, it might focus more on low-end e-learning, which might be characterized as content transfer, as opposed to being focused on high-end e-learning, where the focus then becomes creation of new knowledge through creative uses of technology. It's no doubt that online learning will require something of a shift in thinking, particularly when it comes to assessments. Some of the qualities of online learning are that there's this unlimited access to information, students are increasingly connected to peers, that they're learning anywhere from any time. And this kind of environment then poses particular challenges, but also offers particular strategies for mitigating those challenges. So as you're thinking through your assessments, there are all kinds of resources that help instructors work through questions of academic integrity, individualized assessment versus opportunities for collaboration, and the differences between synchronous and asynchronous forms of engagement. Bobby Elliott, on his writing about Assessment 2.0, provides a helpful way of thinking about assessments that you may have utilized in the past and what that transition to online might look like. So historically, assessments in a face-to-face class might have been paper-based, classroom-based, synchronized in terms of organized in a way that happens at the same place, same time, formalized in terms of invigilated and then controlled as well. But those are the elements that are challenged a bit when we are thinking about assessment in the online environment. And rather, Bobby Elliott is suggesting this Assessment 2.0, where assessments online could be targeted to be authentic in terms of relying on real-world knowledge, contexts, and skills, negotiated, and particularly in terms of granting students some flexibility in meeting assessments with the various tools and resources that they have at their disposal. Engaging in terms of creating and developing ideas, possibly problem-oriented so that students are solving problems as they work through their assessments. Collaboratively produced assessments offer that opportunity for engagement together rather than requiring or demanding individualized engagement. And that at times this is appropriate in terms of peer or self-assessment. Finally, that online assessments benefit from the ability of being tool supported or supported by technologies that are going to make some of the new possibilities happen within the online environment. Now, this may be a bit of a lofty list to consider all at once, but even aiming to accomplish 1 to 2 aspects of this ambitious list puts an online assessment plan on the right track towards success. It's all about a matter, though, of contextualizing that for your own course. And we've got some resources that can help you to navigate this, because often what I find with instructors who are first considering online environments and assessments is that it's hard to know what you don't know. In other words, it's hard to pick out new forms of assessment if you don't know what the options really are. One of the related resources accompanying this video is intended to facilitate discoverability of different possibilities for assessment. So check out the technology-enhanced tasks and assessments organized by domains of learning outcomes. It's a list that essentially places generic learning outcomes at the top of each page, and then lists a variety of ideas for assessments related to that particular learning outcome. Furthermore, at the bottom of the pages, you'll find ideas for tools and technologies that support this type of engagement. And what we encourage you to do in designing your online course is to return to your constructive alignment chart, using your learning outcomes as the guide and adding to it, especially in this column focused on assessments, where you can brainstorm out some ideas of assessments that align with your learning outcomes, keeping those key questions in mind. As you go, you might also document the e-learning tools that might suit or might be needed in order to make those assessments possible. So the example provided is that we have a learning outcome about analyzing the research design of a peer-reviewed paper. And the assessment methods that might help students demonstrate that could be an initial quiz that helps them work through the notions of what scientific rigor entails, possibly an annotated bibliography to find a peer-reviewed zoological article worth analyzing, and then finally maybe a final essay where that analysis and everything they've learned about not only the analysis but the scientific rigor can be demonstrated. The e-learning tools that might be used to support this could be the test and quizzes tool in OWL and the assignments tool in OWL. So documenting those. Before you move on to the next steps of the online course design process, be sure to draft assessment ideas for each of the learning outcomes in your course, even if they're overlapping. It's all right, ideal even, if more than one outcome is actually met by one assignment. As you think through this element of your course plan, be sure to record your assessment ideas into your ever-growing constructive alignment chart.